Today on Carib Nation Television, we celebrate art and the remarkable story of artists Ian and Deon Baptiste. Up next on Carib Nation. When America wants to know what's happening in the Caribbean diaspora, there is one clear choice.
Hello, welcome to Carib Nation.
Both people inside and outside are very excited about today's program.
Looking at you, I can tell that you have traveled the journey.
One television organization brings America close to the people, stories, and events that affects Caribbean life. Get close, get answers, get Carib Nation. Musical drama group Jeune Agape appears on stage at the National Institute of Health. The award-winning youth choir, with more than 50 members ranging in age from 7 years to early 20s, hail from Trinidad and Tobago. The group is celebrating its 10th year anniversary, but it is also coming to the National Institute of Health to celebrate their lead choreographer's life. Ian Baptiste is a musician and dancer from Port of Spain, Trinidad. In 2003, he fell ill with bleeding gums, exhaustion, headache, and other symptoms. A local physician sent him to a hematologist who diagnosed severe aplastic anemia.
Aplastic anemia is not a common term. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so aplastic anemia is actually a failure of the bone marrow to produce the red blood cells, the white blood cells, and the platelets. And it's much less frequent than sickle cell anemia or iron or folate deficiency. It may be more frequent in the Caribbean than, for example, in Europe. We know that it's more frequent in Asia compared to Europe, and we have a lot of patients who come from the Caribbean. So we have a feeling that, in fact, the disease is more common there. But it's not common overall. People don't need to worry about it on a day-to-day basis.
What are some of the risk factors of having or being diagnosed with aplastic anemia?
You mean in terms of what will happen to the patient?
Yes.
Yes. So because the bone marrow isn't functioning, the patients become anemic. They have too low red blood counts. Their platelets also fall, so they can bleed. Usually not severe bleeding, but bothersome bleeding, nosebleeds, gum bleeding. And the most feared complication is infection because the white cells are low.
So you're saying for aplastic anemia, the bone marrow is not producing enough red blood cells?
And white blood cells and platelets.
Okay.
So it's called aplastic anemia, but in fact it's a pancytopenia. All of the blood counts are low.
So can anybody die from this if
Yes.
they go untreated?
Yes, it's a disease that has a very high fatality rate.
Oh dear.
And probably untreated, meaning no transfusions, everyone would die. But even with transfusions and antibiotics, from the 60s and early 70s, most patients did die within a year.
He learned he needed a blood stem cell transplant to survive. His identical twin brother Deon, also a choreographer and a member of Jeune Agape, was identified as the suitable donor. The successful procedure took place on Christmas Eve 2003.
going on, they tell us so much about that spirit between twins. What was your feeling? What was going through your mind, and how did you cope with it?
Well, at first I had to be strong, first of all, because he is living off of my strength, right? So I had to be strong. I mean, I was feeling very down and stuff.
Yes,
I
because you're
mean,
identical
worried,
twins,
yeah.
So there's literally a link.
But I had to keep my spirit strong, and while I was worrying, I was performing in 2 productions in Trinidad and Tobago, Carnival Messiah, yeah. And then it was Carnival time in Trinidad and Tobago also. So I needed to be really strong.
How did you concentrate on the performance?
I just knocked him out of my mind.
You just have to do it
and then
sometimes,
a performance for 2. So
Yes.
let's, let's get that energy and just go.
Wow. Now, once NIH said they would accept you, did you have any compunction in terms of where you were going to find funds? Whether
Well,
at first
we started raising funds in Trinidad before we left to raise funds for him, but I mean, it's 6 to 1.
Yes.
Of course.
And when we came up here,
Yes.
and I said they couldn't do it because we were twins, and that's a research hospital.
And that they don't have that protocol.
They don't
there.
have the protocol for
Really?
identical twins.
Because it's basically a cure for
Yeah.
some cases.
I see.
So they referred us to John Hopkins and Georgetown.
Georgetown.
Now John Hopkins was charging 200,000 US, and
They're number one. You know?
Yes.
and Georgetown was charging 95,000. So when we raised the funds and we checked out, but we only got 40,000 because it's 6 to 1. Yeah, so we were like, no.
My goodness. So where did you go from there?
Well, we just kept on trying to raise funds and, seeing how well he kept on doing until,
Because I used to go like for blood
So
every
they were
ever
able
so
to give you
often.
Yeah, and
transfusions
I-
often enough
yeah.
to keep you going until
Yeah,
the
yeah.
operation.
And meanwhile, all of this was happening, and I was just not going anywhere and getting further in anything. Pamela CL2 from the embassy, she contacted one of her friends. He's also a consultant. He's also a blind doctor
Yeah.
Really?
in California, Dr.
Yeah.
Bernard Mahavir.
Wow.
He took it over and he really pushed and he pushed
pushed
and he
the
pushed.
doctors.
My goodness.
Because he got really
Yes.
sick
So
and he
where
got...
is he from originally?
He's from
Trinidad.
Trinidad as well.
From Trinidad,
Yes.
I see. So he understood
Yes.
the situation.
When America wants to know what's happening in the Caribbean diaspora, there is one clear choice.
Hello, welcome to Carib Nation.
Both people inside and outside are very excited about today's program.
Looking at you, I can tell that you have traveled the journey.
One television organization brings America close to the people, stories, and events that affects Caribbean life. Get close, get answers, get Carib Nation.
Tell me what can I do today?
Hey, let me get that for you.
Everybody needs a helping out. If that ain't what it's all about, tell me what.
Thank you, young man.
What can I
No problem.
What can I do today?
Courtesy. Pass it on.
I got it.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
You're watching Carib Nation Television.
Tell me a little bit about the operation. What was the worst part of it? And
The worst part for me was the chemotherapy. I had to do 4 days of that, but not very strong chemo. Still, it was it's not
debilitating.
Yes, and then a little before that, I had plenty pains and stuff because I couldn't walk at a point because there were lesions and stuff on my legs because I had no white blood cells. Because everything was just going, and I got really small. I lost weight. My intestines were inflamed. I was just going.
So this was really a tough time for a young person to have.
Yes, a young person like me who not accustomed to lying down.
Yes, to being still. Somebody who's as active as
exactly.
It
was hard.
Yeah. How did your parents cope with this?
Just like me, she's
strong,
trying to keep
but
strong.
you could see she's worried.
Very worried because she's losing one of us.
And then
children.
Sometimes when she's combing her hair, you'd see the hair dropping out because stress. And I was trying to be very strong for them, even though I was the
you were the one suffering.
Yes, but basically I'm the strongest of the set.
Really?
Mentally and spiritually.
You can pass some of that on somehow. That make that connection.
Yes. But sometimes when they are not, like when they come to visit me at the hospital because they couldn't stay. So sometimes I would put on a front, I would be all smiling and everything. And when they go on, I'm very sad.
Really? Yeah. How long did you have to stay in the hospital?
I think about 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
2 months in Trinidad, and when you came up here, you didn't stay 2 months. You stayed like 3 weeks, a month, basically a month,
Every time she pass, you're making your mask. She going to tell she mama don't send she down. She going to tell she mama don't send she down. She going to tell she mama don't send she down.
Every time I pass, you look at me. Every time I pass, you look at me. I'm going to tell me, Mama, don't send me down there.
Every time she pass, you look at she. Every time she pass, you look at she. She going to tell she mama don't send she down.
I'm going to tell me, Mama, don't send me down.
She going to tell she mama don't send she down. Every time she pass, you look at she. Every time she pass, you look at she. She going to tell she mama don't send she down there. Every time she pass, it's a she. Every time she pass, it's a she. She going to tell she mama don't send she down there. When she go to school, you watch she. When she go to church, it's there she. She going to tell she mama don't send she down. She going to tell she mama don't send she down.
I'm going to tell me, Mama, don't send me down there.
Every time she pass.
What was your feeling or what was your impression about the people
At
at
NIH?
NIH in terms of, number one, the scope of what they can do?
I was
Two big
amazed.
Yes, I was amazed.
And they are so helpful. They are so helpful. Not like any of the treatment you would get in Trinidad, I must say.
Well, Trinidad is not. It wasn't that
It wasn't.
bad.
It's not bad, but I mean,
but it's
quite a big difference compared.
Different
Yes,
level in
and the
terms of-
technology up here is so Wow.
Really. And you understand what money can do, but
Yeah.
it makes you wonder too, when you think of the cost of health
That's
insurance
right.
Yeah.
and health in this country.
Yes.
And you have to understand what happens in the Caribbean.
That's right.
Yeah.
Many questions are asked in terms of where the government is putting their
Putting that-
priorities.
That's right.
Because without a healthy community or a healthy nation,
That's
you don't have a
right.
healthy country.
Sure,
Or
sure.
without healthy people, you don't have a
Yes.
healthy country. Let's talk a little bit about aftercare. And in the past year,
Okay.
what have you had to overcome? What changes have you had? And how have you seen your progression in the year?
My eating habits.
Have you had to change what you eat altogether?
Not really, but I had to eat on time. Because
And
we have a habit of not eating on
eating on
time.
time, yeah.
Because
Especially performers.
yes, we go on to rehearse and then we just rehearse and you don't get nothing to eat and it's and then sometimes you just reach home and you just go to your bed.
Just
Or you're just too lazy to make something. So I have to be quarreling with him all the time.
make sure that
yeah,
listen.
sometimes when we come from work, he would just go to rehearsals. I make sure I buy something to
Yeah,
eat.
get something to eat.
And then, well, I go to the doctor ever so often to do blood checkups and stuff.
How often do you have to do that?
Like once a month. Once a month is good.
It's on its own.
When America wants to know what's happening in the Caribbean diaspora, there is one clear choice.
Hello, welcome to Carib Nation.
Both people inside and outside are very excited about today's program.
Looking at you, I can tell that you have traveled the journey.
Everybody needs a helping hand. Take a look at your fellow man and tell me what can I do today.
Hey, let me get that for you.
Everybody needs a helping out. If that ain't what it's all about, tell me what.
Thank you, young man.
What can I
No problem.
do? What can I do today?
Courtesy. Pass it on.
I got it.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
You're watching Carib Nation Television.
Now, you were the donor.
Yes.
What did you have to do to prepare?
Well, they gave me some injections for 4 days just to boost the stem cells out of the blood, out of the bone marrow into the bloodstream.
I see.
So I wasn't able to like run or walk fast or anything because the heartbeat was pounding. So that's, or it's like an overflow of stem cells. So that when they, it's like I went like on a dialysis machine and they extracted the stem cells out of the blood.
I see. So first they boost the blood and
Right.
then take what they need to
What
give
they
back.
need. So it came like if I didn't give anything.
I see.
Right? So it was like that. It was normal.
That's another attestation to the
Yes. I mean, I was like watching TV while this thing was going on. And
So it's just like taking blood from
yeah, it's like taking blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they run two lines, one this hand and one this hand, and the machine pulls out from one side and sends back the blood to
with
the other.
nutrients.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
With nutrients.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
and
see.
keeps what it needs.
Now, for you to have the operation, what did they actually do?
Well, apart from the chemo, instead of injecting me all the time, they ran a line through my neck.
From the,
Yeah, so that they can do their drawing of bloods and everything. Yeah. They had me on different medicines, liquids and stuff because I can eat. And I had a chemo for 4 days. On the 5th day I rest, and on the next day they did the transplant. And
it was like if he was getting blood.
Yeah,
so really the transplant is...
it's like a blood transfusion,
Yeah.
yes, because it was a stem cell transplant.
Right,
Yeah.
I see.
So the morning he gave the cells, the afternoon I got it.
I see.
Yes.
It was
So
almost
it
immediate.
took like less than half an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was over. And then how long were you incapacitated, or how long did you have to monitor what you do? Or
Well, actually I still monitor what I do, but not as much as before. But right after I came up from the operation, I couldn't like go out into crowds and stuff.
Because of
some
infections.
months,
Infections, yeah.
Yeah, because you're playing around with different germs and stuff. So I had to wear like a mask and stuff, and I had germ creams and stuff, sanitizers and stuff. Yeah.
Make sure. Now, you said you're still restricted in some things. And what can you not eat, or what should you not eat?
Grapefruit juice.
Grapefruit juice, I don't really.
Why?
Because some of the tablets I was taking, it won't agree with the grapefruit.
I see.
Yeah. And grapefruit is more acidic than lime and orange.
Really?
Yes.
So
People
that
didn't
is
know
likely
that.
to create more trouble for you.
Yes. So
Interesting.
I try to keep away from those things.
Now, did you go into nutrition on a whole scale, learning a lot about what
Yes,
you eat?
yes, I learned a lot. I got plenty of books and stuff, different what I say, herbs and different things to drink and stuff.
And what have you learned from it that you can you can benefit from?
I mean, yeah, the nutrition part is good, but I mean, sometimes we don't follow it, sometimes we follow it. I mean, I try to stick to...
Well, you're fortunate that you're still young and slim, and you haven't...
Well, where I work, like, and where I work, the cafeteria, they provide food, like, you get different meals, different days, so, you know, it contributes to the nutrition, so...
So you get a
I'm good,
fairly good balance.
Yeah.
I see.
On my book, we have to buy lunch every day, so it's like different things we cook for.
Different things.
Because we don't really cook at home, you know, we get up early in the morning just to go to work and come back home late at night.
Yes.
From rehearsals, so it's busy. But basically, I started to recuperate and recover, I would say. Yeah. As soon as I came out of the hospital, I started to creep up the stairs. And then I started to walk very slowly up, and then I started, each day I would...
You did something
new
to make sure you kept
one
it.
step further.
Yeah, right.
And then when I reached back in Trinidad, we had a weight set.
Yeah, so it's
I started very light and started to
build back up again.
That's
and
right.
I started to dance again.
So do you both dance as much now as you did
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
You back to full...
Well, I left here New Year's Day of last year. Well,
went back.
yeah, I went back to Trinidad, and I started to dance like the next week.
So you were okay?
So I was okay. I couldn't do much turnout the first
Yes.
week because the bone marrow, the
Right.
stem cells came out of the bone marrow from these areas, big areas.
I see, the broader...
Yeah, hips and the shoulder.
I see.
Yeah, so. But it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
I hope never to meet up with again.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
now this means that this is fixed. That
Yes.
This has been
Yes.
cured, and there's no chance of anything happening.
But what they did, they kept some cells in case.
Yeah, they kept some of
Okay.
my cells in case.
Yeah.
So
Now, is there any chance that
I might
you might be?
Well, that's what they're
vulnerable?
worried about.
Ah.
They're watching,
They're
but,
watching to see. What
nothing
will
yet.
But you haven't had any symptoms of anything yet, and your blood count is
Yeah, my
staying
blood
up
count
and
is
up and
fine.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Same
and,
with you.
I'm sure that you're quite an inspiration
Yeah.
to many
Yes,
young
to many
people.
in the Caribbean. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure you carry the flag in the Caribbean
Very high,
for
yes.
taking care of yourself and
Yes.
eating well and that sort of thing. I
Yeah.
know some things are genetic. You have
True.
no control
True.
over
That's
those,
right,
but
yeah.
you do the best you can.
Yes.
Because the fact that you were in good health
Yeah.
obviously made it easy for you to recover.
Yeah.
Because I was never really sick before. So,
Right.
it was fine.
Well, great talking to you.
Thank
Good luck
you.
to you both.
Before
Okay.
I would like to thank again, I
Yes.
stress Dr. Mahavier.
Yes, I'm sure for his
yes,
hard work.
Dr.
And
Barrett,
NIH.
Dr. La Rochelle,
La Rochelle,
Dr.
Yes.
Young.
Dr. Barrett.
Dr. Young.
Where's Dr. Barrett?
He's at the NIH hospital.
Also at NIH.
Yes.
So these are all doctors.
Yes.
at
He was the
NIH.
head
All
doctor
doctors at
who
NIH.
decided.
I see.
Yes.
And Dr. Mahabir is still in California?
California.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, our thanks to all of them, I'm sure. And for your parents as well, and everybody else in the Caribbean.
Yes.
Because this
Thank
has been quite a beacon for the Caribbean.
Yes.
No problems.
All the best to you.
Thank
to
you
you.
very much.
Celebrate